Namo Buddhaya. Welcome and welcome back to another video. From today's video, we are going to answer one of the most frequently asked questions in Buddhism. Can we change our karma? Or can we change our past karma? Can we do anything about it? Now, to understand about this, first we need to understand what karma is. Now, in almost all the Indian religions, there are a lot of teachings about karma. Karma is a bigger teaching in almost all the Indian religions. In Hinduism, in Jainism, in Buddhism, there are a lot of teachings about karma. But the Buddhist approach of karma, or the Buddhist way of definition of karma, is slightly different than the other Indian religions, right? So this is how Buddha defined the karma. The Buddha says, Chetanahang bhikkhave kamang vadami. Monks, I say, intention is the karma. So when it comes to these statements from the Buddha means, what Buddha means is that karma, the action, is more of a mind-related thing. That is why the Buddha says intention is karma. So intentions are generated in our mind. So what Buddha saw is that it is not just the action, it is the intention behind the action what defines the karma. So this is the Buddhist definition of karma. Now we'll come to the question. What is it? Can we change the karma? Right? Now, first of all, we need to correct the question and then answer it. Why? Because karma, what people mean by asking, can we change karma, is that can I change what I have done in the past, and can I change the consequences of those karma? Okay, so first we need to understand that karma, or this intention, is generated right now, right here, right? The karma is not something that is past. Karma is something that you do right now, this present moment, right? So this present moment, the karma can be changed. Why? Because it is always your choice. The choice is a karma. Your choice is totally under your control. Some people think that, okay, our choices and our experiences are not totally under our control. The choices that we make are predetermined, or due to the past karma, we make choices right now. But Buddha did not agree to this idea. What Buddha says is, yes, your life is affected by the past karma, but it is not the only thing that your life is affected. But you can change your karma by making good choices, by taking the right action. That is why Buddha praised a lot about the taking right action. So understand that karma happens right now, and that means the karma is totally under your control. But what people ask is that, can I change the karma? No. First, you need to correct the question, can we change the consequences of our karma? Which means vipaka. Now, with the package of karma, there comes another word which is not much famous, and that is vipaka. Vipaka means the consequences of karma. So basically, what karma is, the cause and effect phenomena. That means we make causes for something and there will be an effect because of that cause. We do some actions and then we get consequences of those actions. So this is the basic understanding of karma. So can we change vipaka? It is not totally under our control. We don't know what we have done in the past. So the only thing that we can do is just to go through those experiences. Now, it is also important to remember that our life is not totally dependent on karma. Karma is only one thing that our life is affected. Okay? So let's say you're going through a consequence of your past karma. So can you do anything about that? You can't do it, because only thing that you can do is you have to face that experience. But you can change how you react to that experience, right? Whether it is good or bad, you can take right action, right choice, right now, right here, to face that in a good way. So if we take the right action and right choice right here, then we can stop the karma repeating again and again. Right? Let's say you're going through a bad experience due to a past karma, and if you react the same way, right? If you fall down, if you become angry, if you spread hate because of that pain and suffering, then you create some more suffering karma to go through some bad experiences in the future. But if you take right action and if you become wise and patient and mindful, then you can stop the karma from repeating. So in that way, you take control of your choices. So understand, basically, there is very few space for us to take control of what we have done in the past and the consequences of them, but we totally have the control that we make the choice right now, right here. So keep this beautiful advice from the Buddha in your heart and be happy. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Good morning, everyone. Welcome and welcome back to another video. From today's video, let's discuss about the problem of feeling worthless, right? Sometimes no matter how good we are, sometimes how good other people to us are, we feel worthless about ourselves, right? We feel that we don't have any value, right? My life, there is no value in my life. Why am I living? Have you ever felt like this? Now, this has been a big problem for me before becoming a monk, right? Before becoming a monk, we have to undergo a training period of like 1.5 years, right? I will tell you about my story. So I was staying in this monastery, and I had to learn how to become a monk, and we were practicing and everything. But since even though everything is good, everything around me is good, right? Everyone around me is good, and also even though I am doing good, that still I feel like, why am I living in this life, right? My life, there is no value in my life. Everything that I do, I fail. Sometimes I fail in my life. But when you fail like that, you think like, oh, I'm a failure, right? I don't have any value in my life. And that is not the reality, right? That when it comes to reality, that is not true. But still, mind is very good at distorting the reality and creating these scenarios in our mind to say to our life that you're worthless, right? You have no value. There is no value in your life, right? You're not good enough. So how can we deal with this? So I will tell you how I got the help from the spiritual companions and the monks and my teacher. So one time I was so upset of the things that I'm doing, and also everything that I have been doing went like it went wrong, right? It wasn't successful. I was meditating, I was helping the bank, but sometimes I made mistakes, and I was worrying about these mistakes. No one complained about me. No one said nothing bad about me, but still my heart says to me that you're not good enough. You're a failure, right? So I was so upset. And now when you're in upset mindset, what is the first thing that comes out of you? It's your facial expressions, right? Someone can say your face is a reflection of your mind state. Okay, so I was upset, and one of the monks who was residing in that monastery noticed me that I'm upset. So he came up to me and said, like, tell me, what's bothering you? Is there anything that is bothering in your mind? You can say it to me. Let's discuss. So the first reaction, as usual, when someone asks from us, how are you, or is there any problem in you? What we say? We say that, okay, I'm fine, right? There's no problem. But he understood my mental state and told me, tell me the truth. I'm here to help you. We can discuss so that we can sort out the problem. So I told this condition of my mind, mental state of my mind, that I am feeling worthless. I'm feeling that I'm a failure. And then he said, okay, you're feeling worthless. Let's say you're feeling worthless, and you're feeling that you don't have any value in your life. But now I need you to check the reality. What are you doing right now? You're meditating, you're helping the monks, and you're doing all the chores, and you're still feeling worthless? Is that the reality? One thing that he said is check the reality, right? Check what is real. Because mind is pretty good at creating all the worst case scenarios and all the pessimistic thoughts in our mind. Because it's a thought pattern, right? One thing that our mind has is it has the habit of creating the thought patterns, right? Once we start to feed our mind with a certain thought patterns, it has this looping effect of creating this thought pattern again and again and again. The more we think it, the more it comes back to our mind. So he said that check the reality and understand that your life is not worthless, right? Your life, there are many things that you can be happy about, right? That's the reality. As humans, there is nothing that we can feel like my life is worthless, right? Because there are so many things that we can be happy about. Like being a human itself is something that we can be happy about, right? We got the chance to be a human and practice these good qualities, live as a good human itself is something that we can be happy about. And be happy about that you have air to breathe, right? You have people around you that smiles at you. At least something that find something that you can be happy about, because there are so many things. There are thousands and thousands of things in reality that we can be happy about. Okay, that is one thing that you have to do. Check the reality. Is it true that my mind saying that your life is worthless? But when you come to reality, you find that there are a lot of things that you can be happy about in our life. Okay, and there's another thing that you can do, and that is keep a gratitude journal, right? Write few things that you have to be like you can be happy about in your life, right? You can be happy about so many things if you think about it. So find something and write about it. And also another thing that you have to do whenever you get these kind of thought patterns is to try to give more, right? Try to help more to other people, right? Whenever you do that, you feel the value of the things that you do, right? The positive energy that you create towards other people, right? And whenever you give, whenever you help others, you see the smile of their faces. You see that people are thanking you, and you think that, oh, this is what the true value of my life, right? My life is not worthless. My life is valuable, that I can create many positive things around me in my life, so that it's not true that my mind's saying that I'm worthless, right? When you realize that, you come to this state and come to that understanding that how valuable this human life is, right? How many positive things that you can do in this life, right? When you do that, that state of mind will go away. So things that we have to do is check the reality and understand, ask from yourself that is that true, that truly that my life is worthless or not, right? And also be generous, help other people, and be happy and understand that your life is truly valuable. So keep this little advice in your mind and be happy. Namo Buddhaya.
So for a person, for a lay person practicing in life, we all need to balance this. But how? Ask that wise question. What is it? How? How to be balanced? I would say it is all about what we give priority to. It's all about priority. Right? I will ask a question. Why are you here today? You had work. You had other things to do. Right? You had other responsibilities to do. But you made time for 3 hours to come here and just sit down and listen. Why? Because it was important. It was important to you. The person inside you taught you that, okay, this is important. Put it on the first place in the list. Today I'm participating to this. That is why you came here. That is priority. But so many people complain. They complain to me sometimes. They come and ask, it's very difficult to meditate. It's very difficult to maybe practice the spirituality. Why? It's all about giving priority to it. See, no matter what happens in life, we eat food, don't we? We eat. No matter what happened, how much busy was the day, we eat food. You know? No matter what happened, we eat that. We do that. Why? Because it is prioritized. Okay? No matter what happened during the day, what we do? We clean ourselves. Why? Because it is the priority. No matter what happened during the day, don't you hang out on social media? Isn't it? Yes. Why? Because it is the priority. So why can't we do maybe 10 minutes of meditation, 10 minutes of spiritual practice during the day? No matter what happened, no matter how much busy the day was, it's all about what you give priority to. It's about how much value that you give to the spiritual life. Understand that giving the priority to spiritual life also essential for all of you.
We all know how difficult it feels when after doing something or saying something, the same mind that forced us to do that action, the same mind that pushed us to do that action, turns back at us and say, why did you do that? Why did you say that? You shouldn't have done that. We spend a lot of time regretting about our past actions, the things that we have done or said in the past. It turns out 75% of people spend a significant amount of their lifetime regretting either about past or being fear about the future, right? So if you think that you're the only person who is regretting about the past actions, you're not. We all are. We all are in the same boat, right? So the Buddha realized that regretting over the past actions is one of the biggest issues when it comes to the peace of the human mind. So that is why the Buddha gives a straightforward answer for this question, how to stay away from regrets in life. The Buddha says, first, be mindful about your actions. And by doing something, if the result leads to suffering of yourself or suffering to others, stay away from doing such actions. That is the first thing to do, right? But how to put it into action? How to not to collect the things or to do things that brings regret to our life? So the Buddha gave us an amazing advice to practice this, amazing practice. Buddha describes this to his former son, Rahula. Before becoming the Buddha, he was a prince and he had a son. His name was Rahula. Later, he became a monk, right? And he gave this amazing advice to Venerable Rahula. The Buddha asked from Venerable Rahula, Rahula, what do you think? What is the purpose of a mirror? Then Venerable Rahula says, the purpose of a mirror is to see the reflection, check the reflection, sir. Then the Buddha says, in the same way, Rahula, you have to understand that before doing something or before saying something, you have to thoroughly reflect on that action. You have to ask from yourself that this action that I'm wishing to do, will it bring suffering to my life? Will it bring suffering to others' life? Am I doing this action with an unwholesome mind? If the answer is yes, then the Buddha says, by all means, you have to stay away from such actions. Because the things that we do with an unwholesome mind, the Buddha says that the end result is the suffering. So the Buddha explains this in the first verse in the Dhammapada. The Buddha says, if someone did something with an unwholesome mind, suffering follows that person like a cart wheel follows an ox, right? So what Buddha teaches us is that before doing something or before saying something, just wisely reflect on it, right? Thoroughly reflect on it. What will be the consequence of this action? Is it going to hurt myself? Is it going to hurt others? Right? And then the Buddha says, when you reflect on your actions, if you found out that the actions that you are wishing to do will bring happiness to yourself, the actions that you are going to do will bring the happiness to other people. And if you are doing this action with an wholesome mind, by all means, do that, because that brings the peace and happiness to your life. So that is where the practice of mindfulness comes into play, right? Because in mindfulness, we don't do things mindfully. What we do is we become mindful about what we do, right? We understand why we are doing what we are doing, right? Most of the time, the reason why we collect regretful actions to our life is because we don't know why we are doing what we are doing, right? So the first step is to understand what is the purpose of this action? What is the intention behind my actions? When you become mindful about the consequence of such actions, then you can make a good choice to stay away from the things that brings the regret to our life, right? So that is the first thing to do. The first thing is to be mindful and to thoroughly reflect on our actions and to stay away from the things that brings the regret to our life. That is the first step. And then the Buddha realized that as an average person, you can't reflect on each and every action that you do, right? That mindfulness is not that developed enough for each and every person. So as an average person, we all will make mistakes. We will all do wrong things. Then the Buddha gave an amazing solution for this problem, for this regret. The Buddha says, if you have done something that is regretful, do not hide it. That is what Buddha says. The Buddha says, if you have done something, if you are regretting about a past action, if you are regretting about something that you have done in the past or said in the past, first thing you have to do is you should not hide it. Find a person who can understand you. The Buddha says that reveal it to your spiritual teacher, right? Find a person who can understand you, or reveal it to your spiritual companions, right? Find a community of people who can understand you, who does not judge you, who can give a good guidance to you, and reveal it to them, right? Do not hide it. Do not conceal it. Open it up in front of wise people. Now, there are two amazing things that happens when you reveal yourself or when you confess yourself in front of wise people. What are the two things? The first thing is that it free up your mind, right? It releases your stress and the tension and that negative energy that is building up in your mind, right? And that will lead to not to repeat this same action again and again. The problem with concealing and hiding a past mistake is that the more we hide it, the more there will be a probability for it to repeat. If you reveal it, then it frees up it releases your heart, right? And also it releases that negative energy that is building up within you. That is the first thing that happens to you. The second thing is that you will get a wonderful guidance, good guidance to overcome that action, right? You will get the help from the community around you, right? So the first thing is to not to do something that is regretful. That is the first thing to do. To do that, we need to build up the mindfulness, right? And to reflect on our actions before doing them. And the second thing is that if there are things that we are regretting about the past, we have to reveal it. You have to talk about it and let it out from your heart. So these are the two things that we have to do when it comes to regret.
So the Buddha showed us that understanding the mistake as a mistake and accepting it and disciplining yourself to not to repeat it again will help you to free up your mind and bring peace and happiness to all of our minds. So that is why we all need, and it is very important for all of us to practice the mindfulness, practice the reflection on our own actions, and also to be brave enough to confess the mistakes that we have done in the past. So I hope you got some idea about this mindfulness and confession. So hope to see you in another video. See you in the next week. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya. If you take a healthy seed and plant it in an infertile pot or infertile soil, what will happen to the seed? Slowly by slowly, it will start to die. It will never grow. The problem was not in the seed. The problem was in the environment. Same goes with our life. Although we are good people, although we have good qualities inside us, the environment or the people around us can affect the good qualities and can affect our inner values. And that is why in Buddha's teachings, the biggest amount of focus is given for the people who we associate. At one time, Venerable Ananda asked from the Buddha, says to the Buddha, I think half of this Buddhist practice depends on who we associate, or half of the Buddhist practice depends on good friends. Then the Buddha said, Ananda, do not say that. Ananda, the full Buddhist practice, the fullest Buddhist practice depends on, the whole Buddhist practice depends on having good friends and having better friends. In Buddhism, we call them Kalyana Mitta, the noble friends. So, who are noble friends? Noble friends are the friends who they direct you to do good things and to be a better person and to cultivate the inner values like love, compassion, patience, and practicing the Dharma. All these things, the people who help you to develop these things. So, in the Buddha's teachings, having good friends around you is considered as a blessing to your life. The Buddha says this in Mahamangala Sutta. The Buddha says, Asevana cha balanang panditanang cha sevana etam mangala muttamang. That means the Buddha said, do not associate with people with lower qualities. Associate with people with higher good qualities. Okay, having a good association with people who have higher values and higher qualities will help you to improve in your life. And that is why in the Buddha's teachings, a major focus is given to the people who we associate. Even in the monks community, when we are living with monks, monks live in one aim, with the one aim to practice the inner qualities like love and compassion, sharing, meditations, and spiritual practice. When you're being around such a community, it is very easy for you to practice it. Now, when I began the practice of the monkshood, it was a challenge for us to practice these qualities like meditation. For an example, it was very difficult to meditate in the beginning, but we had group meditations. That means our senior monks meditated with us. Okay, we were sitting with the senior monks and we were meditating, and we see from the beginning of our monkhood, we saw that our senior monks are meditating for hours and hours, and that inspired us to meditate. So, having and being with a community of people who are like minded and being with people who can help you to improve is a blessing for all of our life. Now, when I say this, I know the question that comes to your mind. How can I have people around me that helps me to improve? Okay, because I live in a toxic environment. Maybe you're living in a toxic environment. Now, that is the problem that we most of the other people have, right? And then you may ask, like, I am living in a toxic environment. So, how can I find good friends? And how can I find people who are going to help me? Well, I know we don't get the exact environment that we expect all the time. There will be always toxic people around us. There will be always unfavorable environments around us. Okay? But from time to time, we get into contact with people with better qualities and better people and with higher values. And do not lose that association. Connect with them, be with them, inspired, get inspired with them, and then associate. Keep associating those people from time to time. The more you associate them, the more you develop the inner qualities. It's something like this. If you grow a plant in a little pot, right? For an example, if you take a bonsai plant, it grows in a little pot, right? So the environment is limited, the soil is limited. Okay, so what happens to the tree? It doesn't grow much. Okay, it starts to grow slowly. But because of the environment, because the roots are stuck in that little amount of soil. What will happen if just one root came out of that pot and got connected with the ground? What will happen? The tree starts to grow. Same like that. If you get one connection, just one connection with a better person, or a better person who has good qualities and who can help you, you should not lose that connection, right? You have to be connected with that person and you have to grow, and that will help you to grow in your life. So then the environment that you live in will not matter to you, because you have that valuable connection with that one person. Okay, and that is why we need to choose the people who we associate wisely, because who we are are the people who we associate. And that is why they say that you are the average of 5 people who you associate. Just look around the people who are living with you. Okay, just look around the people who you share your life and see you're the average of those 5 people who are very close to you. So that is why we need to be very wise and very keen when we pick friends and when we pick people to associate. And if you got just one connection with a person who has better qualities and good qualities, that who can help you to improve, never lose that connection. Be connected with that person and improve yourself. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Couple of days ago, when I was reading the Dhammapada, I came across this wonderful verse from the Buddha. This is from Dhammapada, verse number 290. The Buddha says, "If by renouncing a lesser happiness, one may realize a greater happiness, let the wise man renounce the lesser, having regard for the greater." Now, this simply says, if you seek a greater happiness in your life, you need to be brave enough to let go of the lesser or the cheaper happinesses in life. Now, this made me thinking this can be applied to any area of our life. Whether you are a student who is studying to achieve a greater happiness or a greater achievement in your education life, there are certain things that keeps you away from that achieving it. Sometimes those things can be some pleasurable things, like watching movies, like scrolling on social media. But when it comes to it, like superficially, when we look at it, in the beginning, it's very enjoyable. It has its own entertainment. But the problem is it takes the valuable time from us. It steals the valuable time from us, so that we waste time for a cheaper happiness. And what we miss is a greater happiness in the future that is yet to come. So the Buddha says, if you seek a greater happiness in life, you need to be brave enough to let go of the cheaper happinesses that keeps you away from achieving that greater happiness. Now, this is applicable for the monk's life as well. This is why we become monks, right? As monks, we show that we need to seek a greater happiness in life, because as humans, what we seek in life is always happiness. But for a monk, he thinks that I need to achieve something greater than the normal happiness, right? A peace that is beyond from the normal peace in the world that we talk about. But to do that, we realize that it is not possible, or it is really, really difficult to be with the other cheaper happinesses in life, so that we need to let go of them to seek something greater. And that is what even the Buddha did, right? So many people complain that why Gautama, the Siddhartha Gautama, let go of the lay life or the material life. Why did he run away from the life so that he become a monk? It's not about that he ran away from the responsibilities. It's about he understood that one cannot achieve the greater liberation in life or the greater peace in life, which is nirvana, by staying in this household life. So that he let go of that household life and became a monk. And he started to seek the spiritual path. And he found the nirvana, and he found the liberation. And also, he didn't stop from that. He came back to the palace, and he helped everyone who was in the palace in his life to achieve the same state of peace. So that seeking, if one seeks a greater happiness in life, right, we need to be brave enough to let go of that cheaper happinesses that we are being busy and that steals our time in our life, right? Sometimes it can be a toxic habit that you have, right? For an example, in a toxic habit, it is really, really easy and it is really, really enjoyable in the beginning, but it makes your life so much difficult after. And that is why they say that if you do what is easy today, your life will be difficult tomorrow. And if you do what is difficult today, your life will be easy tomorrow. And that is how the world works, right? For a toxic habit, it is very easy to do, but it makes our life so much difficult. But for a good habit, it is really, really difficult to practice, and it is really, really difficult to make it a habit, but it makes our life so much easier after. Okay, it can be applied to any area of your life. Like, let's talk about the spiritual life. Okay, usually when we become monks, it was really difficult to be disciplined, right? Once you become a monk, you have, first of all, you become a novice monk, and you have 10 disciplines to practice, right? And after staying as a novice monk, you become a higher ordained monk. And then you get, suddenly your precepts and your disciplines reach up to 227 disciplines. And it was really, really difficult to be disciplined. But once you learn, once you practice, once you dedicate your time and energy to be disciplined, it makes your life so much easier. And after some time, you realize that all these disciplines are made for your life to make it easier and make it so much free and make your life so much independent. Okay, so that is why we should believe that we should attain the freedom through discipline, right? Through hard work. So now take a look at to your life. What are the things that keeps you away from achieving the greater achievements in your life or greater happinesses in your life? And be brave enough to say no to them, right? When you say no to them, it buys you so much more time that you can focus on what really, really matters. So keep this little advice in your mind, and let's meet with another video. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. The other day when I was doing a speech, there came a question from the audience. The question said, no matter how much I planned the new year, I failed to achieve these goals at the end. What is the reason? And turns out this is a problem for many people, right? We all plan the new year, we all plan in the beginning, but we fail at the end. What is the problem? The reason for this problem is we are trying to do more. But in reality, what makes your dreams come true, what helps you to achieve the goals in your life is not by doing more. It is by doing less. But it is a little bit contradictory to the society, the idea of the society, no? Because the society will say to you that do more and then you will achieve more. But in reality, to achieve more, you should not do more. You have to do less. Now, what do I mean by doing less? Doing less means doing something that is important. Removing all the unnecessary, unimportant things in your life and doing what is important. Giving the priority to what is important, what matters the most, right? And also, if you give this priority to what is important to you, right? If you ask the question, what is important to me in my life? What should I build up? What qualities should I build up in my life to make my life a success? Now you focus on that quality, the important task, important goal, and you keep doing it, right? The reason why we fail to achieve the important things in life, because our important goals, our main goals, our crucial goals are covered with these unimportant things, unimportant achievements in life, which does not help us in the long run. Okay? And also there's another problem, and that is we have lots of expectations. That means too much expectations. It is okay to have expectations, right? If it is okay to have dreams, it is okay to have goals, but it is not okay to have too much expectations. Why? Because sometimes when we have too much expectations, our expectations and our reality have a big gap. It has a big gap, right? So when we fail to achieve these expectations, what happens to our mind is we become discouraged because we are not getting what we expected. And then what happens? We suffer. We hate ourselves. We blame ourselves. The more we blame, the more we hate ourselves, the less we try to achieve things because we label ourselves, okay, I can't do these things. I'm not someone who is courageous. I'm not someone who is brave to do these things, right? No matter how much I try, I fail. That is the nature of mine. The more you label that, the more you give that name to yourself. I am a failure. I can't do these things. What happens? The more you can't do those things, right? So the most important thing is to have moderate expectations. It is not to have, I'm not saying that you should not have expectations. Yes, you should have, right? And also you should not have too much expectations, right? You have to find that sweet spot. You have to have that moderate expectations. I will do my best. This is one advice that was given to me when I started preaching and giving speeches. One of my elder monks, one of my brother elder monks, he said to me, when you step into the stage, don't think that you're going to ace the speech and you're going to earn a standing ovation from the audience. Don't think that. Don't think about it. And also, don't walk into the stage without lack of confidence, right? You have to have a confidence that is moderate, right? You have to have a confidence that is moderate where you think yourself, I will do my best, right? I come to this stage, I step into this stage to share something valuable from the Buddha's teachings, and I will do my best to share it. It is when you have that moderate expectations, what happens? Although you fail at some points, right? You know that you will fail. You have accepted that yes, you are imperfect, you will fail in life, right? And that failure, the pain from that failure is less painful than when we have the high expectations. So the most important thing is to have moderate expectations. And one of the most important qualities that we need to have in our mind to achieve the goals and the dreams in our life is to focus on little changes in life, not the big changes. Most of the time people ask like, how can I change my life in a bigger way? How can I make big changes in my life? To make big changes in your life, start from making little changes. That is what helps you to, that is what makes you the bigger changes in life, right? For an example, like let's say you're in a stressful condition, right? You're stressed and you're worried about things and you feel like you're going through like a dark hole. What can you do? You try to solve the problem, right? You try to solve the bigger problem. But the reason for that bigger problem is not always the immediate reason. The reason for a big problem is not always the immediate reason. It is a series of problems, series of changes that had happened throughout our life, and it make that big change, big problem. So what do you have to do? Go down, go into the roots of the problem. What made it change? What went wrong? And when you find that smallest thing that smallest mistake that made it wrong, you have to correct that. You have to make that correct and work upward, right? Let's say you feel a little bit stressed or anxious, or you feel the negative energy around you. What can you do to stop this? First, stand up, and then you can clean your surrounding, right? By cleaning the surrounding, it adds some sort of a positive energy around you. And after that, you can a little bit meditate a little bit. Clean yourself, clean your body a little bit, clean your clothes, right? Clean your surroundings. That positive energy will make a little bit of positive change in your life. And that positive change will lead you to make big changes, big positive changes in life, right? So one of the most important things is to focus on little changes, right? That is why in Dhammapada, the Buddha says, by degrees, little by little, from moment to moment, a wise man removes his own impurities, as a smith removes dross of silver or gold. Now, when a silversmith or a goldsmith, when he cleans the silver or like a block of silver or gold, he or she can't do it easily, right? It takes a big time, right? It takes a huge time to clean this block of gold, right? In the same way, little by little, you have to improve little by little, right? So that is why I found this wonderful quote that I read recently. It says, learn a little bit, apply a little bit, improve a little bit every single day. Isn't that wonderful? Learn a little bit, apply a little bit, improve a little bit every single day. That is what we have to do. So I invite all of you to learn a little bit and apply a little bit and improve a little bit and change a little bit in this new year. So I wish you all, may all of you be happy and healthy. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. From today's video, we're going to be discussing about how can we use our speech, our words in a wiser way, right? Now, to do that, in Buddhism, we learn 5 things, 5 rules to follow, and ask from ourselves 5 questions before we speak, right? Now, this is taught in regarding to reproving to someone, like showing a mistake to someone. But these 5 rules can be added to our normal day-to-day speech as well. And it will make a greater change, and it will make a greater impact on ourselves as well as others. So that is why it is important to understand the words that we speak has got power. There's a beautiful saying that says, words can make people and words can break people. So that understand the words that we speak has got power, and it matters. So how can we speak in a wiser way, right? How can we use our words in a wiser way? Now, in Buddhism, we learn 5 rules to follow this, right? 5 questions to ask from ourselves before we speak. Now, the first question that we need to ask from ourselves before we speak something is that, am I speaking in the proper time? Right? Sometimes, even though it is true, even though it is truthful what we speak, maybe not the proper time to speak. Now, what is the proper time to speak? Now, the whole idea, the whole point of speaking is to get the message across to the other person in the correct way. But sometimes, even though we are saying the truth, even though we are saying the right thing, that person who is receiving the message may not be in a condition to get the message, right? He or she may be not in a mindset to receive the message. so that if we convey the message, they may not get the same idea that we are having. Now, the whole point of communication is to get the idea, to plant the same idea on the other person, right? But if we did not do in the proper time, it won't work. And that is why in Buddhism we learn, wait until the proper time. Ask from yourself, am I speaking in the proper time, right? Now, for an example, if you need to show a mistake in someone, if you need to correct a mistake in someone, now you need to communicate. That is where you need the communication in, like, it is very important at that time, right? The right communication. But if you say that mistake, if you show that mistake when that person is angry, right? When that person's mind is filled with anger, what happens? They may not get the idea, they may not see the mistake that we are showing. Okay, so what we do, we wait until the anger cools down and open his ears and mind. Now, when our mind is in anger, we are not ready to listen to anyone, right? We're not ready to think about what is wrong or what is right. That is why the Buddha says, "Khuddho attang na jananti." When your mind is in anger, you don't know what is good and bad, right? So that we need to understand. If we need to get a message across to that person, we need to wait for the proper time until their mind is open, until their ears are open, until they are ready to listen and understand that message. So that waiting until the proper time is very important when we communicate. That is the first question that we need to ask from ourselves. Am I speaking in the right time? The second thing that we need to follow is we need to ask from ourselves, am I speaking truthfully? Right? The Buddha says you need to follow the truthful speech. You need to say the truth. But even though the truth, you need to put it in the right time, in the right place, right? The Buddha says, even I, right? Even the Buddha, even though it is the truth, he waits until the right time to say it. Sometimes it is not the correct time to say the truth, so that we need to wait until that. Now, this doesn't say that we need to tell lies to cover up that, right? This says that you need to be patient and not panicked until you need to use the proper word. So the Buddha says that speaking truthfully is very important. Why? Because when you speak the truth, sometimes you may lose certain things, but when you speak the truth, you gain one very important thing, and that is the truth. That is the trust. Trust is very important in any kind of relationship. And that is why you need to be truthful, but also you need to wait until the proper time. Okay? So that is the second thing that you need to ask. Am I speaking truthfully? And also we learn in Buddhism that speak gently, not harshly. So that you need to ask from yourself, am I speaking harshly? Am I speaking gently? Sometimes what you say is true, right? When you say is the correct time, right? You say it in the correct time. What you say is the truth, but the tone matters, right? The words that we use to convey the message matters. I have seen a lot of people showing others' mistakes with rude and harsh words, sometimes putting them down, like putting their mentality down and hurting their mentality and showing the truth, they're showing a mistake, but they don't get that message. Why? Because they have hurt their mentality. Sometimes when you use such kind of words, their emotions get hurt, so that they're not ready to listen to it. Now, why we convey the message, why we communicate is we understand that this is the right thing, this is the correct thing, but I need to make him right. I need to make him correct. I don't need to see that mistake again in his life. I need the good of that person. Now, if you truly love that person, you have to use your words in a proper way so that he or she get the fullest message that you are conveying. And that is why we learn in Buddhism that gentle words can change people's mindsets. But rude and harsh words make nothing but people more stubborn in their own ideas. So that understand, gentle words are the best way to change other people's mindsets. There are a lot of examples even in Buddhism that we learn that the Buddha, how Bodhisattva used the gentle words to change people, right? So that understand, speaking gently is very important. Now, what makes a gentle man and a gentle woman is not how you wear, right? It's the words that you speak. It's the way that you behave. It's how gentle you treat other people. That is what makes you a gentleman and a gentlewoman. So understand that speaking gently is really, really important. So ask from yourself, am I speaking gently? And also we learn in Buddhism that your speech must be beneficial for the other person, not harmful. Now, to do that, you need to have an intention that you truly love that person, right? You truly love your idea to see that in that person's mind and making their life much better, right? See the good on them. Now, to do that, you need to speak in a beneficial way so that that person corrects their mistakes, right? That person's life becomes better by listening to your words. So that the Buddha says that always speak beneficial words, not the words that harm other people's life. So then you need to ask from yourself that, am I speaking beneficially but not harmfully? So that understand, you need to speak to the people to see the good on them. And the final question that we need to ask from ourselves is that, am I speaking lovingly, out of love and compassion, not with inner hate? Sometimes we use our words, even though the good words, good things, but we have the inner hate, right? When we have the inner hate, that is the intention behind our words. And that intention can create negative situations in our life and also the other people's lives. And that is why in Buddhist way of right speech, we refrain from all the negative speeches like rude words, harsh words, right? Or some mean words that has the negative intentions behind, right? So the intention behind your speech is really, really important. So that understand, ask from yourself that, am I speaking to this person out of love and compassion, not with inner hate, right? So the Buddha says that speak with love and compassion, okay? Sometimes some people complain, okay, if we speak with love and compassion, they are not ready to understand it. And we believe that speaking with like kind words and compassionate and gentle words will make other people not to understand what we say. Sometimes they say, okay, to make someone understand, we need to use rude and harsh words. But that is not always correct, right? The reason why we believe that using those rude and harsh words is the only way to get the message to that person is because when we were children, we were treated with rude and harsh words, right? We were disciplined in the rude and hard ways, so that we believe that this is the only way to do that, but it is not, right? If you start to use in the correct way your speech, it is pretty sure that you get the message correctly to that person, and also they understand it and they make their mistakes correct. So that understand, these are the 5 things that we need to follow. These are the five questions that we need to ask from ourselves to get the message correctly, to communicate in a correct way, and also to make our speech wiser. So follow these 5 things in your speech and make your life even more better. Namo Buddhaya. We all know how difficult it feels when after doing something or saying something, the same mind that forced us to do that action, the same mind that pushed us to do that action, turns back at us and say, why did you do that? Why did you say that? You shouldn't have done that. We spend a lot of time regretting about our past actions, the things that we have done or said in the past. It turns out 75% of people spend a significant amount of their lifetime regretting about either about past or being fear about the future, right? So if you think that you're the only person who is regretting about the past actions, you are not. We all are. We all are in the same boat, right? So the Buddha realized that regretting over the past actions is one of the biggest issues when it comes to the peace of the human mind. So that is why the Buddha gives a straightforward answer for this question, how to stay away from regrets in life. The Buddha says, first, be mindful about your actions. And by doing something, if the result leads to suffering of yourself or suffering to others, stay away from doing such actions. That is the first thing to do, right? But how to put it into action? How to not to collect the things or to do things that brings regret to our life? So the Buddha gave us an amazing advice to practice this, amazing practice. Buddha describes this to his former son, Rahula. Before becoming the Buddha, he was a prince and he had a son. His name was Rahula. Later, he became a monk, right? And he gave this amazing advice to Venerable Rahula. The Buddha says, the Buddha asked from Venerable Rahula, Rahula, what do you think? What is the purpose of a mirror? Then Venerable Rahula says, the purpose of a mirror is to see the reflection, to check the reflection, sir. Then the Buddha says, in the same way, Rahula, you have to understand that before doing something or before saying something, you have to thoroughly reflect on that action. You have to ask from yourself that this action that I'm wishing to do, will it bring suffering to my life? Will it bring suffering to others' life? Am I doing this action with an unwholesome mind? If the answer is yes, then the Buddha says, by all means, you have to stay away from such actions. Because the things that we do with an unwholesome mind, the Buddha says that the end result is the suffering. So the Buddha explains this in the first verse in the Dhammapada. The Buddha says, if someone did something with an unwholesome mind, suffering follows that person like a cart wheel follows an ox, right? So what Buddha teaches us is that before doing something or before saying something, just wisely reflect on it, right? Thoroughly reflect on it. What will be the consequence of this action? Is it going to hurt myself? Is it going to hurt others? Right? And then the Buddha says, when you reflect on your actions, if you found out that the actions that you are wishing to do will bring happiness to yourself, the actions that you are going to do will bring the happiness to other people. And if you are doing this action with an wholesome mind, by all means, do that, because that brings the peace and happiness to your life. So that is where the practice of mindfulness comes into play, right? Because in mindfulness, we don't do things mindfully. What we do is we become mindful about what we do, right? We understand why we are doing what we are doing, right? Most of the time, the reason why we collect regretful actions to our life is because we don't know why we are doing what we are doing, right? So the first step is to understand what is the purpose of this action? What is the intention behind my actions? When you become mindful about the consequence of such actions, then you can make a good choice to stay away from the things that brings the regret to our life, right? So that is the first thing to do. The first thing is to be mindful and to thoroughly reflect on our actions and to stay away from the things that brings the regret to our life. That is the first step. And then the Buddha realized that as an average person, you can't reflect on each and every action that you do, right? That mindfulness is not that developed enough for each and every person. So as an average person, we all will make mistakes. We will all do wrong things. Then the Buddha gave an amazing solution for this problem, for this regret. The Buddha says, if you have done something that is regretful, do not hide it.
That is what Buddha says. The Buddha says, if you have done something, if you're regretting about a past action, if you are regretting about something that you have done in the past or said in the past, first thing you have to do is you should not hide it. Find a person who can understand you. The Buddha says that reveal it to your spiritual teacher, right? Find a person who can understand you, or reveal it to your spiritual companions, right? Find people, find a community of people who can understand you, who does not judge you, who can give a good guidance to you, and reveal it to them, right? Do not hide it. Do not conceal it. Open it up in front of wise people. Now, there are two amazing things that happens when you reveal yourself or when you confess yourself in front of wise people. What are the two things? The first thing is that it free up your mind, right? It releases your stress and the tension and that negative energy that is building up in your mind, right? And that will lead to not to repeat this same action again and again. The problem with concealing and hiding a past mistake is that the more we hide it, the more there will be a probability for it to repeat. If you reveal it, then it frees up it releases your heart, right? And also it releases that negative energy that is building up within you. That is the first thing that happens to you. The second thing is that you will get a wonderful guidance, good guidance to overcome that action, right? You will get the help from the community around you, right? So the first thing is to not to do something that is regretful. That is the first thing to do. To do that, we need to build up the mindfulness, right? And to reflect on our actions before doing them. And the second thing is that if there are things that we are regretting about the past, we have to reveal it. You have to talk about it and let it out from your heart. So these are the two things that we have to do when it comes to regret. So the Buddha showed us that understanding the mistake as a mistake and accepting it and disciplining yourself to not to repeat it again will help you to free up your mind and bring peace and happiness to all of our minds. So that is why we all need, and it is very important for all of us to practice the mindfulness, practice the reflection on our own actions, and also to be brave enough to confess the mistakes that we have done in the past. So I hope you got some idea about this mindfulness and confession. So hope to see you in another video. See you in the next week. Namo Buddhaya.